Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all the women in the world. Thank you all for coming and welcome to the Get Wiser Summit 2022. As I will explain later, this is an annual event and this is our third. My name is Iman Bibars. I am an LGM or the Vice President of Ashoka Global. I am also the founder of Ashoka Arab World and the Regional Director. And I am the founder and leading the WISE movement. WISE is Women Initiative in Social Entrepreneurship. I'll talk about it later, but it's important for all of us to understand that it is a movement. And in the 70s, the women movement across the world said the women of the world unite. In the WISE movement, which is Women Initiative for Social Entrepreneurship, I'd like to say women and men of the world join the redefining of success for women and for social entrepreneurs, which is today. I'd like to start by explaining a little bit about what is the Get Wiser Summit. Really, it's an annual event, as I said, that spotlights and celebrates that what women social entrepreneurs and young change makers also do and how they are responsible for real impact. They are successful, they do have real impact. So this is really what we're celebrating in the coming 3 days. Last year, we had 90 speakers. We had 6 languages and we had 450 attendees from 65 countries. And the idea is that this is a global movement. It is led from the south in Ashoka. It began in Ashoka, but it's really a movement where everyone should join. What is really the objectives of the summit? We want to honor the girls and women who are embodying the everyone a change making or change makers movement. Again, Ashoka has a movement which is called Each Everyone a Change Maker, and we believe that women and girls are really a great example of how we embody this movement and the values of this movement. We also are calling that one of the objectives of the Get Wiser Summit is to call in deconstructing how traditionally we are redefining success, the barriers and the limitations of the definition of success. You will see that we never talk about challenges facing women. We're saying women succeed in spite of the challenges that are gender specific, but we really want to deconstruct the measurements, how people define success and impact, and how this could be limiting to the understanding and recognizing of women's success. So we want to honor the girls and women who are embodying each. We want to deconstruct how the world defines success and impact. And we also want to hold the space for all women and girls and men who are supporting women social entrepreneurs to celebrate and tell their stories. Before we go even in details of what's going to happen today, and it's really a very rich event with 3 days of great events, let us talk a little bit about WISE. WISE, Women Initiative for Social Entrepreneurship, is a movement. As I said, it is not a program, and we want to redefine success from a social entrepreneurship point of view, but also a women's point of view. We want to redefine success. We want to open up and really do a paradigm shift, a change of the rule. You know, changing the rules of the game is very important. Up till now, there has been a particular way where we define success, which is important and included in our definition, but it had limited investing in women-led organization. It had limited the recognition of how women do have an impact, and especially women social entrepreneurs. So WISE movement was created in order for us to redefine success and prove and show with evidence how women social entrepreneurs across the world have had a lot of success and impact that maybe would not recognize. So this is how we want to do a paradigm shift, changing the rules of the game, but also inviting the enablers, the donors, the investors, the universities, the publishers, the media to recognize and really show and tell the stories of women social entrepreneurs across the world who have really had an impact. And that's why we have different activities in the WISE movement. One of them is the Get Wiser Summit, but we have the Storytelling Initiative, which is a website where we prove that women have really proven success. So this is really what we want all of you to join us with. Join this movement. And let me explain to you, what do we mean? What do we mean by redefining success? What do we mean by saying that women had an impact that might not be recognized? To start with, that's how I started and how the WISE movement is defining success, new measurement for success. We believe that there is a scale up, scale down, a scale deep, and scale out. And listen, because it is very different than what was the mainstream, okay? The scaling up is really when you change laws and policies. that have been, for example, prejudiced or biased or not fair to a particular group. This is extremely important. So if I say I change a law, for example, for the nationality law, because it forbid young girls and boys who were born to non-Egyptian men from accessing university or schools are having to pay. When we change that law, or when we change that law, we could affect up to 17 or 20 million kids. So scaling up is changing laws and policies that will not only affect the current population you're helping, but also affects generations to come. And that's why the measurement should be a longitudinal measure. So this is the scaling up. The scaling deep is even tougher. It's the transformative scale. It is changing mindsets, behaviors, way people think, some traditions that are negative towards a particular group, not only women. So scaling deep also affects the current population, but also the populations in the future. It affects everyone because, and again, it's different than the reach, and I'll explain that. So scaling up is changing policies, changing programs that affect the current generation and the generations to come. Scaling deep is mindset change, patterns change, way of behavior, some wrong traditions or bad traditions that affect a particular vulnerable group. And then the scaling up is what we all know, is the reach, is the replication, which although is one-sided if it's only used, it is important as well. And many women social entrepreneurs also, and you will see that in the coming 3 days, do replicate and reach more people. However, reaching people is good, but for social entrepreneurs does not only mean impact. It's important, but it's not the only measure. And again, I always say this, if we are selling hamburgers for $1, and if I sell 1 million hamburger, then I have $1 million. The evidence is very clear. And the reach is very clear. We will count numbers. And again, it's important. But that is not clear if I talk to 1 million people about FGM or wife battering or racial discrimination in the West, in some countries. This, if I talk to 1 million people, I don't know if I impacted or not. And that is why it's important to scale deep. So again, it is really, we are calling everyone to join us in this movement to talk about the new ways, ways to redefine success and impact and to measure it. Scaling up, scaling out, and scaling deep. This is extremely important. Again, this will help us change the narratives and the stories and the way we tell stories about women. And women who have impact, women social entrepreneurs. It will celebrate their success and will ask us all to recognize them, but it will also inspire young girls. We want to inspire young girls and not to talk only about challenges, but how everyone in the next 3 days are women who have succeeded, who have really succeeded in spite of the challenges. And that is the truth. We can, of course, there are gender-specific challenges, but they do not rule. What rules is how we overcome them, and we can overcome them. First, by ourselves, by working together, by joining this movement, but also by accepting the redefinition of success, by recognizing their impact, by scaling up, deep, and out. So I hope that was clear. And really, we have the website for the Wise Storytellings. We have a lot of material, and you can join us in the chat and ask for more material. So this is important. What then is the summit? Why are we having this summit and this particular one? Because every year we have the Get Wider Summit, but this has an additional line or thread to it. We want in the Get Wider Summit to further explore the connection between stories, impact, and future change. The stories help us, and the stories are not just stories. They are stories showing the impact of our young change makers and our social entrepreneurs, but also how do we then connect it with stories, the future, and of change making and impact. We believe in Ashoka that everyone is a change maker, and that everyone should be a change maker, and every region should become an everyone change maker region. And we believe in Wise that women and girls are important. Women and girls are 50% of the population, and therefore they are part of this new movement at Ashoka, which is really a couple of decades of everyone a change. So this summit is about this, about deconstructing and discovering not only what is the way people scale and their impact, especially women, but also the connection between Wise, between women social entrepreneurs, between redefining success and the each movement in Ashoka. It's also, as you will see, it's also that we're trying to reconnect, and we have intergenerational sessions where we are trying to work with the young change makers, with young girls, um, really between 14 and 21, and treat them as equals. You know, generally speaking, when we talk about young girls, we always say in the future they will be leaders. In the Everyone in Change Making work, in the Ashoka Young Change Makers work, young girls are already change makers, are already social entrepreneurs. So we have several sessions where the discussion is open between young change makers, young girls from 14 to 21, and mature, I don't like to call old, mature and leading social entrepreneurs. So this is also one of the reasons we have this summit. To look at the past, look at the present, and look at the future. To connect the present, young people, with the past, leading social entrepreneurs who are very active, and together to really recognize, respect, and invite people to the movement where women and girls have impact in their work, whether they are in the social sector or the business sector. Finally, I want to also say something else. We are very honored with everyone that is coming in today in the next 3 days. We're also very proud to have different languages. So yes, the first and second day will be predominantly English, but the third day we have people from different parts of the world speaking French, speaking Swahili, speaking Arabic, speaking German, different languages, and Spanish, because we want this place, the summit, the WISE Summit, to be a place for everyone. We believe in diversity, and we believe in the power of every social entrepreneur in the world and every social innovation. But I'm also honored that I think we have two keynote speakers or guest speakers. Really. I am honored really to have exceptional keynote speakers. Today at 4:30 Cairo time, I will be honored to have a fireside chat with Her Royal Highness Princess Lamia bint Majid Saud Al Saud. She's the Secretary General and the member of the Board of Trustees of Al Walid Philanthropies. So let us all welcome, and I hope you all join this really strong and important fireside chat where we're going to talk to a woman leader like her Royal Highness, but also on what has her story, the challenges she overcome, but also where does her work and the work of Al Walid lead, and how are they really very involved in gender equality, but also in women empowerment. We will also have on the 26th, on Thursday, Bill Drayton, the founder of Ashoka and the CEO, and he is a movement builder. He started coined the term social entrepreneur, but also started the movement and built the movement of social entrepreneurship, in 1979, 1980. 15 years ago, the Everyone Change Making movement started, and it is now tipping the sector, and Bill Drayton will help us understand and share with us the trajectory and the journey of how this happened. Throughout the days, we will have panel discussions, workshops, consultation sessions by many people. Before I end, I want us to say, WISE is a movement, and we want to invite everyone. WISE is redefining success from a social entrepreneurship mindset and lens, and the women's lens. WISE is about scaling up, scaling out, and scaling deep as measurements to prove that women social entrepreneurs have an impact, and really join our team. Before I end, I want to thank Her Royal Highness Princess Lamia for agreeing to be part of this movement, but also of this of our event. And of course, I'm very grateful and thankful that Bill Drayton, although he's joining us on the last day, to really take us into how he built two movements and succeeded. I want to thank all the attendees that came here today, and of course the team in Ashoka Arab world, but also across the world, and in particular Geneva Gleason, who is really, guys, have worked very, very hard. And I end this by saying that we have many partners across the years since we started WISE Global, which is a global initiative, and I would like to start thanking Porticus, Microsoft, Al Walid Philanthropies, Hilti Foundation, Ursula Zilti Hilti Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates, BMW Foundation, Stanford Angels, UN China, UNDP, and also in Egypt, a lot of supporters that support me personally, but also support the movement is really Dr. Maya Morsi, the head of National Council for Women, and Dr. Naveen Qabbaj, the Minister of Social Solidarity. Thank you all. Again, join our movement. women do have an impact. And thank you for all your work.